because you wanted me to talk.
Yeah, but what you're saying right now is it seems like you also don't want to. I don't know.
I want to, but
Okay.
from what I understand, there are still things that I should not say.
I mean, man, I'm trying to explain it right now. I don't know what to say to you here.
Go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting you. Go ahead.
Okay. You're gonna be all right, right?
No, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, the contract had a thing at the end that was supposed to be an NDA that's in perpetuity, and it was supposed to be with the stipulation that if we say anything that could be taken as detrimental or a criticism even of the brand, then there could be a lawsuit and everything. And it was an NDA that's supposed to be in perpetuity, and in legal terms, I can already tell you, that's going to be a little bit of a tough one to hold up in court if it actually had to go as far as that. But I knew that already. I had already worked with contracts before. It's why I didn't sign it immediately. When you're presented with a contract, it's leaned towards the advantage of the person who wrote it. You're going to need to do revisions.
It's the natural process that you go back and forth.
You go back and
revisions.
forth. I took out a pen. I circled it immediately. I said, what's this? This was supposed to be a thing about merchandise. Why is there an NDA snuck in here at the very end? And it's really tiny here, too. And we
blocked you for, like, what, 2 weeks?
Well, a month. And also, it was a little after. It was that they acted like we came to a deal when we didn't. I thought we were going to talk about it further. We left after that. And it was only us talking to the management end about this. But that was what happened afterwards, was that they messaged me about it a few days later, and it seemed like they were trying to tell Chris like we were on board for it, when that was not how the meeting went. Julian, I think you remember. Not at all. Not even close.
No.
But
we said we were going to go to a legal advisor.
Yes, and that was what came up. Messaged me about a week later and said, like, oh, are you ready for it? And I said, like, I mean, I want to look this over first with, like, a legal advisor. And that's when I got blocked for a month. Chris was obviously out of patience and everything, too, because he just wanted us to work out, and he felt like we were being really stubborn by not just going with it. But he also wasn't picking up on where a lot of this was going and how hard it was all going. And even when he knew, he seemed a little more concerned about just getting it to go through than anything else. So he was upset with us that we also weren't just going with it either. And if you guys are going to be like, wow, so this all happened yesterday? No, try again. It happened like almost a decade ago. That's why people trying to reignite all of this recently is pretty absurd, because it's trying to make something from a decade ago keep reliving itself over and over again on loop. Things we have already discussed. We have talked about this probably like 40 times. This is not a new breakthrough. But
I'm very sorry to everybody who has already heard
it. Already heard it, so it gets to be boring for them. It gets to be a thing that's just unpleasant. That's like, this shit again? Yeah, sorry. People want to make it into a thing right now. But we didn't sign it, ultimately. We never went with it. I told them they could keep the money from the merchandise. We just don't want to be doing it anymore. There was still a desperation years later from the management end to try to get us to do it again, but we didn't do it. And with all that, very heavily, that's what it was around. Chris was still a bit of an issue within it, but that's why everyone now trying to treat this too like this. What a betrayal towards Chris. I don't even know where that's coming from anyways, because this is old discussions. We've talked about these things already. And I guess that's what I would now want to point back towards is it's really weird that we have talked about these things already. And when it was a little less clear to people, they wanted to only make it about Aaron. And when they realized it was more people, the thing I said from the start, now it's evil. Almost like there's exception cases being made, and this was always just about Ego Raptor and trying to take shots at him. We didn't have people genuinely really caring about what happened, which is why saying something happened gets people immediately against you. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Really doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's because logic coming into play. This isn't supposed to make sense. What it's supposed to be is something that looks ridiculous and overwhelming and over the top, and you're hoping to get people who might not be in the know on some of this to take your cut down version of it and now think that there's a conspiracy about Julian eating macaroni and cheese. It is absurd. All that's happening right now is not genuine. And no, there wasn't some heinous major betrayal. It was not good, things that were happening back at the time. It was pretty bad. A lot of people knew we were getting hurt during all of it too. But because also everybody was so afraid of how external end could be handling these things, it's why it was easier to just not deal with it in some cases.
Are you keeping an eye on chat? Because I'm playing the game and I haven't.
I'll look over.
I'm not saying something specific.
No,
happened,
I know,
I'm
I
just
know,
saying
I
that
know.
I don't
I know.
if
It's
people
okay.
are
It's okay. It's okay.
saying
I'm looking.
important things.
I'm looking. It's okay. And yes, bunny anxiety. Absolutely. They are. They're acting like we aimed all of it at one person this time around again.
Because OneyPlays fans tend to be hyper defensive. They already know that they're into something that's a little fucked up, and they feel nervous when people notice.
Yeah. No, you put it pretty well. That is part of it too. So where do things go from here? The same way they always go? If anything, that is the goofiest part of all this. Anyone who's a regular here on the website, you already knew this was going to happen. Because we already told you
We've been
guys
talking
like
about
4
it
months ago.
every goddamn week for years.
People knew that this was eventually going to happen again. People were going to kick this
And
up
it's
again.
going to keep happening in
Yeah,
the future.
it'll continue. It's never going to stop happening. But the thing we at least learned through it is that means don't stop going. And if people are going to try to get you hurt because you got hurt, well, what does that say then? Just keep going. Now, easier said than done, though, because then we can get back to the other thing I mentioned. We seriously had a rabid audience member come by armed,
You
hoping to
mentioned it
lure us
earlier,
outside.
but I think it bears repeating as many times as you need to say it. Somebody did try to kill us over this.
Yes.
And they specifically stated that Sleepy Cabin was the motivation. I don't think it needs to be spelled out any harder than that.
So going again? Yeah, it's the Gangstalicious episode. Gangstalicious has been shot. Everyone
Why
goes,
have we been-
again? And he goes, again.
Why have we been talking about the Boondocks so much recently?
Because we've been watching a lot of it. And also, we were watching a video that was an old Adult Swim broadcast where they were advertising that episode where he's singing, I got shot. He goes, I just got shot! And then everyone in the crowd is singing along thinking it's a part of the act.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, yeah. That did happen.
But, yeah, it's going to keep happening in the future. And I assume that's part of the reason why some people are clinging onto this so desperately, doing whatever it takes to try to get us into a position like this again. I think they're hoping for another incident where a random-ass, unhinged person goes out of their way like that.
What's the name for the Trump thing that he's, like, hoping somebody will do something? There's a specific...
There's like a term for it?
They came up with a word for the phrase for the concept of keep hinting at people until they eventually do something. And you can say, I never told them to do it.
It's been happening with some YouTubers in recent years, even. Yeah, I don't know what that would be.
I'm not responsible.
I wouldn't know what that would be, but that is what
There's a
is
term
kind of
for
happening
it. I don't
with it, yeah.
remember what it is now.
Three-Eyed Guy, I'll still have an announcement for the website. If anything, you know, it's just the process got sped up here. That's why if I didn't do that stream yesterday, all of what you're seeing right now would have happened as soon as the website went live. Alongside, you know, all the same old narratives and stories and everything, too. Any reminder that we're still around gets a lot of people furious with us and acts like we need to be hurt for still being around because we betrayed everybody by getting hurt. Simultaneously, though, hey, we're not trying to do a Mission Hill here either, where you go, Kevin's a hero because he got attacked.
Right.
That's not what this is either.
No, that's stupid.
It was a lot harder to handle at the beginning, but once again, when you got a decade going of this kind of thing, you kind of start going numb to it. Not necessarily like it's not impacting you. Oh, no, it is. But there's a numbness that starts being felt, where you go, oh, it's this again. Let me guess, you're going to do this next. Yep, there it is. It's not surprising this is happening, and that's why there is an intense desperation right now to try to make this into something way bigger. But all these things have been already talked about before, and you should probably bring that up again. Chris already told you years ago anyways that you were free to just openly talk about everything anyways.
Right.
Someone brought up even earlier in the stream saying, how many times did Chris also tell
He
people
has
leave them
specifically
alone?
used that phrase, leave them alone,
Yes.
multiple times.
Yes.
It has been multiple
Chris
times.
knows he made mistakes. We made mistakes at points too. I said it even years ago that stream that did get archived, that I said everybody fucked up to some degree. I even said it last night too, although might have been edited out of the video. No, it's an ongoing thing. It's that people really desperately wanted to go swing at Aaron Hansen and thought that we would be great tools for that, even when during those streams we said not to do that, and we said that partially because we knew that was a big part of the problem. There's a whole weird-ass thing going on with these audiences, and it's been ongoing, and that's why
I'm glad that earlier...
no one knows how to really handle it.
I'm glad that earlier when we were on the dev stream, you were talking about the idea that, like, literally all YouTube creators are, like, terrified of their audiences.
Yeah. When Mega64 had me on, that's what they wanted to talk to me about. They were scared of their own audience.
You can see it in small ways, like how people get overly apologetic, that they go like, I'm not saying that all of these people are bad. Like, they have to phrase things like that. But way more so, you brought up the example of how everybody, literally everybody at the Game Grumps office was constantly using Rant Grumps because they're like, afraid of what's going to happen.
Of what's going to happen.
Any fucking crazy thing could happen.
Because it's not specifically they don't like it when someone says something mean about them. They don't like it when someone says something mean that isn't like based in reality, and that it might set somebody else off going, we need to report this to the FBI, or going, I'm going to show up at their house the next day. I didn't watch a lot of Game Grumps, but I remember a video Chris had shared with me early on was that, and I remember talking to Ross about it very briefly, but there's a video where they were at a convention, and I don't know which video this was. Like I said, I wasn't a Game Grumps watcher. I wouldn't know the video title. Maybe somebody here would know. But they were at a convention, and that people recognized them and followed them all the way back to their hotel room, and somebody was pretending to be hotel staff when they weren't.
I do remember
They kept
this
looking
story,
outside
actually.
the door, and they see them just standing outside the door, trying desperately to, like, be there because they want to get in. And then they even started sliding notes under the door, trying to get them to open the door. And I was at least glad they included that, because that's one of those things you probably do need to talk about and showcase. Yeah. Audiences can get really, really wild with this kind of thing. But if you're going to talk about that kind of thing, it's a lot harder for people to swallow. It shouldn't be. You know, I'll say this, recently with the Digital Circus thing, people got to see that too. It can happen. The audiences may get a little too overly obsessive and then get to this point. We had people who made a Discord group years ago, back in like 2018,
I wouldn't say
where they
that
were
was...
documenting like what we were eating.
Oh, well, that's not what I was going to say.
I know it wasn't what you were going to say. What were you going to say?
I thought you were talking about the people who were trying to be predators.
No.
And that's not really obsession. They were just being opportunistic and taking advantage of the situation.
It's going to affect this 3i guide. Don't worry. That is the thing I'll say. This was the moment we were kind of waiting for, and it was going to happen no matter what we did.
For years and years, we were trying really hard to try to keep things peaceable, but unfortunately, this was always going to happen because it's a fandom that like seeks out conflict.
Yeah, that's why even in the talk about it, I'm not being overly hostile.
It fucking sucks.
It was just going to happen no matter what. If there is any indication that something might have gone astray, people will do that. That's why a lot of trying to convince yourself of something, too. Somebody going, I mean, haven't you and Julian noticed that if everything's going wrong for you, then maybe it's you? You know who brought that up to me? The first person who brought that up to me as a concept?
Yes.
Chris.
Yeah, he did.
Because Chris was having that happen to him. And likewise, you're seeing comments from people also going, why does this keep happening to Chris? How do you say it to one person when you don't pick it up on the other one either? Because you're making exception cases, because you have biases for the content that you watch. Everybody here was a human being, and everybody made mistakes, and really bad decisions were being made because nobody even really fully knew what they were doing. What is YouTube even? How does the algorithm even work? It changes every fucking week. What is professionalism when it comes to YouTube? What is it even supposed to look like? It's not a standard profession. In fact, at this point, professionalism on YouTube seems to be something like going out and like attacking another YouTuber on the street for your own videos. It was a whole mess to begin with. And that's why a lot of things went as sour as they did, and why we didn't want to get ourselves tangled up in it again. But walking away from it made people furious with us. Indicating
do-
anything happened made people furious with us.
I wish we hadn't done it to begin with.
No, I kind of wish we didn't either. I did mention that before. Somebody even asked during the other stream, if there was something you could go back and tell yourself, what would it be? And I would have just told myself, don't do any of this. Just don't. I know some people are even getting, you'd be nowhere without Chris. Actually, that's the thing. I was busting my ass trying
Tough
to do...
Bippy was already blowing up before you were even on the channel.
Yeah. And now it gets to be linked into all of this, and it's seen as a YouTuber thing. It's why I was intentionally trying to never name drop our projects in any videos we were in.
I'm very sorry that I'm going to come off extremely intense tonight in general. This subject triggers me beyond anything else. Dee Dee has had to put up with that for all this time that I will go ballistic.
I've been trying to keep
Just
them
at the
calm,
mere
but
at
I
the mere
can't.
mention of OneyPlays, I get so fucking angry that I can't think straight. And
It was why I even spoke about Dream Daddy. It was a thing that you felt like we really just needed to at that point. And the same goes with a lot of this too. I know it's stuff that really gets to you. And it really does. It used to be a lot more intense in the past. Busy Orc, it's what we were already doing, taking all the abuse and just being in a miserable state. That was what was kind of just, paved out for us. That's just where we're supposed to be at. We're going to keep doing what we can anyways, and it's not like we're going to budge on what reality was. That's why if people really do want to go back between these things, you can see consistent through lines and everything. People just liked it when they wanted to pretend it was all just Ego Raptor alone. Rather than, no, he made mistakes and everybody else did. The thing that I said already, years and years and years ago. It's just, once again, if people have just decided you're not allowed to be heard and your voice is worthless, then it's just going to be worthless. The stream on Twitch was pretty goofy, because it was people, we would call out things they were going to do, and then they were just in the middle of doing it as we were calling it out. I know what this already looks like, especially when we already had a lot of people around us obsessed with Kiwi farms and obsessed with cringe culture and all this other stuff. I already know what this whole flowchart looks like. I already know how people address and handle these things. I already know how people sometimes exaggerate stories or try to make something seem so much worse because somebody was willing to be honest about something. I already get all that. The winning move, like I said even earlier today, was to not play the game to begin with, and we didn't know until it was already too late. We got out of there within about 2 years, but really we should have gotten down there within like a month. And it is pretty fucked up that a job that you took temporarily for a couple of years has to be the thing that basically ruins your entire life because it was attached to internet. And specifically, a lot of the nastiest side of the internet really taking focus on it. But that's where it's at. That's why everybody already was moving on to a degree, but still getting bothered on occasion. People would still bring this kind of thing up. No, I didn't like that Chris was trying to act as if we dropped the ball and everything was our fault with that Eek finale. Simultaneously, I know why he's doing it, because there's an audience like this around him, and he doesn't want to have any kind of moment of weakness. I also wasn't supposed to tell people that he asked us that we wanted to record, because he was nervous about how that was going to look. It shouldn't have to be a thing that you worry about, and I remember it's a thing I was even trying to insist to him over and over again in the past. You shouldn't have to get so caught up on this kind of thing with crowds like this. When I did that Mega 64 podcast, they were really, really, really getting into so much of this about how much they kind of fear their own audience and they don't know how to address it. Well, that's kind of the issue. You can't. If you want to be fully honest here, you can't when it comes to internet material specifically. You just can't. It's going to go the way that it does, and it will rarely match up with reality. It may very slightly resemble it. There's bits and pieces mixed in, half-truths, but you're not going to get the full real deal coming off of
Poor
that.
guy. He's dead.
But it's why on our own ends, we were also willing to just be open about things the entire time anyhow, even if it was to our detriment. And yeah, that doesn't go over well. That's why, once again, it's treated like we betrayed somebody by just being upfront about what happened and even saying, too, we understand that there's people who are not going to like us, and you don't have to be here if you like somebody else and you never liked us. If anything,
should be that easy. It really should.
It should be.
That just if they're not into us, They don't have to follow. And we begged people for fucking years. We begged people for so many years, hey, if you're not into this, you don't have to force it. Oh, man. I'm trying really hard to stay calm. I'm sorry. It puts you through a lot to have been holding on to it for so long, and then to finally be able to say it.
I mean, I was warning you about that for years as well.
You were.
That just because you feel like you haven't gotten to say enough, when you do it, it's not like it's gonna make you feel better.
It makes me feel better in a sense, but I understand what you're saying. Where did the other guys go?
But it's why I even said it yesterday, too. All these people would be a lot happier if you guys didn't, like, make this into so much of a thing that you keep acting like we are specifically OneyPlays. We're not. It's in the name of the channel, actually. It's very easy to spot that. It's called OneyPlays. That's not us, is that? I know we were on there for a while, but we're getting into the territory now of that channel's been running for what, like 12 years or something? So about 1.5 years to almost 2 years out of that is not actually that long of a run, is it? And yet it's still treated like that's the only thing we're allowed to be. And that doesn't mean people have to make room for the things we do. No, I very openly talked about that yesterday. Once again, might have been cut out from the video. I'm not sure. But no, I very openly said, if people think that I'm whiny and I deserve all this, you know, go ahead. That's fine. I know what happened, though, and we're going to know our own situation better than other people do. Especially when a lot of these things, it's not like there was a camera rolling. It's not like they're going to be, like, heavily documented in, like, all these different forums. Some of it is. That's why I was saying a lot of that I've still held on to if it really had to get to a point like that.
Oh, no. Ah, motherfucker.
But no, I wouldn't resent anybody for not wanting to watch us because, you know, this is a thing.
That's not how it should be, that one person has literally the entire world as their audience.
No.
There needs to be diversity. There needs to be lots and lots of different people doing lots of different things. I know where everybody is.
Did you just say diversity? I can't do it. I wanted to do the Tim Robinson noise where he goes, ah.
He sticks out his chin.
You sure about that? Ah.
Why would anybody be against diversity? Why would that be a problem? I can't imagine.
It's unfortunate. Three-Eyed Guy, that is part of it too. Part of the reason that a lot of people don't want to be too fully open about what they feel, on like politics, for example, is because, yes, they're afraid of an audience lashing out about that or leaving. Julian talked about that in his post from like a decade ago. I always quote it, the thing about you can't sell a t-shirt. Yeah. If you start putting too much of yourself out there, how are you going to sell a t-shirt? You're going to now push away maybe half of your audience because they don't agree with you on something. Why do you think some people remain in the closet?
Yeah. It's a good example because that's not a... That's a thing that should be, like, sympathetic.
But at this point, we know every detail of this. It's an effort being made by Kiwi Farms at the moment, and it's because they want to defend who they also think is, you know, the big, cool, like...
Power guy, one might say.
Yeah. Simultaneously, that guy has been telling people for years here, hey, leave them alone already and just let everybody move on from this. He wanted to move on from it. We wanted to move on from it. He was able to talk about things, even if he had to sometimes, like, vague post it through his videos. He still was talking about these things through it, too. We already talked about things, and we were fine to move on, and it's just people have never wanted us to move on. At least with a lot of other people, they were given some room after things, or at least had something kind of prior to things, but with us, Yeah, it's true. Most people only knew us through this, and that's why some people will go, you got your audience through this. No, we had somebody else's audience looking at us through it, an audience who already did not like who we were. It's not the same thing, no.
I feel like it should be obvious. And that's what kind of thing makes me feel like, okay, people are being disingenuous.
Wompulator, yes, Werema is probably doing a good job with this too, because Werema is part of the reason things started getting calmer on streams. We didn't have moderation.
Yeah, we didn't have a moderator for many years.
And by the way, oh sure, it was our best turnout in terms of numbers, and it was a hellscape. If you were trans and you were in the chat, someone was going to go after you. That Discord group I mentioned, they were going after people in the chat. When there's been raid attempts, they go after random people who also come by these streams too. And some people are even just mentioning that by getting any additional context on that video, now they have a bunch of weirdos leaving comments all over their page threatening them and lashing out at them. This is not a serious actual issue to people right now. This is not them actually concerned about what just happened or really seriously seeing it as a big betrayal. It's the demand to try to make this into a problem because we threw a wrench into their narrative. That was also why when I did my second, stream to close everything out back at the time, when our friends were encouraging us to just get offline because we were going to get hurt, when I did that, I also did mention, a lot of this in there. And it was brushed aside and re-uploaded with heinous comments all over the fucking place because that was the idea. No one cares that we got hurt. They never did. And the only reason anyone wanted to go with any of this is when they were hoping so desperately it had to be about Game Grumps, because of course this has to come back to some stupid thing about Game Grumps. I don't know what's up people's ass on that one, to be fair. I wasn't watching Game Grumps actively. I don't know what some of these audiences looked like fully prior either. But when we were starting to see stuff like Shadman coming around, that was a really strong...
Should be a bigger problem than Aaron is kind of annoying sometimes.
Yes. A lot happened.
Aaron is bad at video games. That's worse than being a Nazi.
It's a whole thing within itself, so... So, I'm sorry to everybody on this, too. I'm sorry that Game Dev stream had to be impacted tonight. I'm sorry a lot of these things had to go the way that they did.
It's better that I did stream today.
No, it is. And you got work done. I'm a little bummed out on my own end because I had only just woken up with all this happening. But like I said, before I even went to bed, I already was talking to people, so...
I mean, you don't get any rest days.
No, I don't.
You already know that. You've been talking about it for years.
And with people saying Werema must be doing a good job right now, Werema was downright, horrified the first few days they were a moderator, not even realizing just how bad the stuff that doesn't go through really is. On Twitch, on YouTube, because there's the auto mod and everything. Some of that they don't even have to do, they just get to see what the messages were. The worst things you could imagine being said got said, and very frequently. Threats have never died down. They've never stopped. I know people would even want to be dismissive in their, typical internet fashion where you pretend to not be causing problems while you know you are, and you're just hoping to dupe somebody through it by refusing to just be honest, but no, not threats, just being words. Once again, mapping out where our apartment was and trying to get people to go there and say if something happened, yeah, I know what you're hinting at. The same sort of idea, too, with a lot of these other elements. Chris was getting frustrated with us through a lot of it, too, because this was keeping up and was feeling like this is our fault and we should be getting hurt sometimes. But I also, like I said, know that it's also coming off the pressures of this kind of thing, and you don't want to be on the receiving end yourself. None of these guys
I do remember him saying multiple times that he didn't understand why we got it worse than he did.
Yeah, he did. He indicated that often. And
unfortunately, we're minorities.
It's
you're gay, and I'm gay and brown.
It's just the way that it is. It's unfortunate. Some people get to be treated more as exception cases than others. And sometimes you can just be designated for a spot of you're just not going to be heard. That's why it's goofy, too, some people trying to do the get therapy thing, where it's like, hey, therapy doesn't prevent someone from coming by with a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can call us crazy as much as you guys want to, but simultaneously, this obsessiveness, especially when it went as far as that, is significantly more crazy. The same idea of being around a lot. Anyways, the
I
same
said
idea.
no.
Oh shit.
No.
Okay.
Not allowed.
Can we clip that? Can we clip that right now? Let's get that out of there.
Disagrees. People should get
Cut that.
doxxed.
Cut that. Streisand effect. No. With all of it as a thing too. Yeah, it's always been really rotten with all that. It's always been an unfortunate thing. I don't know how it could ever change. I don't know how we could ever really fully move forward. And because we're around a lot of people who are paranoid about these crowds too, they became paranoid about each other. I'll go back and saying it again. Stamper directly said how he had a blackmail folder on his friends and everything. So why do you think these guys are terrified of each other too? A lot of these guys weren't fully trusting each other, and there was tension since the start, far before we came into any of this too. We didn't really get anyone to fight each other. We kind of got tangled up in a lot of the messes that were already there, and a lot of it, if you want to really get to the root of it, it's the fear of these crowds. It's the fear of these audiences. Everyone is so fucking terrified about their reputations and losing the people who would be there. And that's why once again, right now, getting messages like that where people are now, like, acting really goddamn, like, threatening and overwhelming about something like this, where it's so minor, especially when it has been discussed for years already. It's not even new. But we knew this was going to happen, like I said. We talked about this actually 4 months ago, that as soon as I post a video about, hey, the website is up, because I don't have the video section up yet. Yeah, we're going to get dogpiled like fucking crazy. The person making that tweet, there were so many people like fucking livid, lashing out at anybody there to, you know, stand up for the honor of these plushes being released or whatever, when, man, you don't even know this. Julian's post there is from a fucking decade ago. Oh, wait, no, some of you do know that. Oh, okay. Jesus Christ, so just, it's gonna keep going, huh? It's been a decade. Yeah, it will. Some of the stuff that people, some of the people who are mad at Aaron are mad at things that happened, like, seriously 15 to 20 years ago. If it isn't clear at this point, really unstable people obsess about these things. And they're a lot scarier sometimes than the people that they're obsessing about. That's why you can get someone driving out with a gun. And by the way, what they would say is, they're just contributing to, like, the drama. Haha, it's kind of like Christine Chandler or whatever, right? Haha, this is my character I'm playing.
They wouldn't say
I'll
Christine.
This is my character. I'll be known as the Gun Man. Haha, because I came by with a gun. People really start losing grasp with reality through that, and that's how you get something like, going back to now. You can bring it full circle to the title of the screen. Screen, I said. Stream. Sorry.
Macaroni.
The macaroni incident.
You re-explain, because I saw earlier somebody did
the macaroni incident. No, it's why I made it vague intentionally.
Yeah.
Julian mentioned his macaroni and cheese that he ate earlier today upset his stomach because he's lactose intolerant. And immediately on the comment section of the re-upload of like the edited down re-upload of the stream last night, the one that Kiwi Farms is trying to hover right now, they were trying to insist that Julian mentioning his macaroni and cheese is him side baiting or whatever the fuck. As if that was supposed to be like some hidden message that he sent. Which is really fun. It reminds me of like the spelling bee. The clip I mentioned before where the kid goes, "Do the chickens have large talons?" And nobody there knows that he's referencing Napoleon Dynamite, so you hear everyone go, "What? Huh?" And one of the judges goes, "We'll check on that." And then he just kind of shakes his head and answers. And afterwards, you even hear like one of the commentators for the event go, "Huh, some kind of like secret message there." He was referencing Napoleon Dynamite. It's why the stream earlier was really goofy. They were in real time, like, throwing tantrums in the comment section of that video in response to Julian's game dev stream. Just on the spot. Getting mad about, like, every last thing being said and insisting everything is some kind of conspiracy. These people are completely far gone, if that wasn't clear. Keep in mind, too, people didn't know that about Kiwi Farms. That was originally a whole website dedicated to the Sonichu stuff. They ended up getting to take the quickie and everything, and they were going from there. Then it got to be married to Gamergate stuff, which is why Zoe Quinn was somebody they were obsessing about so much. you want me to get into it further? Okay, Mr. Medicare, the reason you see a lot of people in a modern setting being so thrilled about him is because he was a major voice for Gamergate back in the day, that he originally went as Internet Aristocrat, and then he changed himself and rebranded later on. And the reason he got so angry about Gamergate by the
I
end
didn't know those
is
were
because...
the same person.
You're thinking of Internet Historian. That's a different person.
No, I heard of...
You knew Internet Aristocrat?
No, I didn't know him.
Oh.
But, like, I had heard that name.
Yeah, that's Medicare. That was his old name that he went by.
Okay.
During Gamergate, he was doing that. And he was really angry because by the end of it, wouldn't you know it, people were talking about video games. And that he got angry doing a last video saying, like, you know, we have to fight extremism with extremism. And quoting, you know, stuff from World War II Germany and everything. But making it very, very clear, this was never about video games. These were a bunch of fucking, like, nut jobs that just wanted to get, like, pure hatred to come through. And they figured, you know, if nerd culture is becoming mainstream and it's a really malleable area to take advantage of, because look at this, people are being open-minded about Gone Home. Well, maybe we can make them go the other way. How about Gone Homo? Suck on that. But don't suck on it. It'll make me... I'm going to cover my eyes. Don't you dare suck on things. It's a whole ridiculous thing that came up with that, too. Like I said, I'm well-versed in all this. I was around enough people during all of it, and it was why, even in the past, I was making my distance from some of these crowds. And that's why we can get to the final component, why some people are getting angry about this. They do know that. They know I'm not in approval of a lot of these things, and they're very upset about that, too. But don't worry, I'm going to continue feeling that way. If anything, you made a stronger case for why this stuff is ridiculous. It doesn't seem like anyone has grown in the span of time of, like, 16 years here, really. But that's where it's at right now. Expect them to latch on to shit for probably the next half year, I'm gonna say. We're gonna continue streaming anyways. No, this is not going to put us into a position to be fearful that we're not going to talk about things on stream, or that we're gonna be in a spot to now say, you know what, let's go back on that trans rights thing. I had enough people being mean to me online that I don't want them to be mean to me, so I'll say that trans people should be hurt. No, fuck that. There's nothing wrong with trans rights. I get it. A bunch of people are really worried about, you know, winning this, like, power, like, tug-of-war at the moment over culture. But, no, we have absolutely no issue with people, you know, having their identity and being themselves. Obviously. But that's what's going to be happening. I'm sorry about that, everybody. They were also, by the way, keep this in mind, everyone in the chat right now, they are screenshotting all of you. They're trying to insist that they stumbled on, like, a secret, a big, deep, conspiratorial secret, of course, because I never heard of this website, and I'm really obsessive, so if I didn't hear about it... but as they were cradling themselves, rocking back and forth, looking like that one image where the person's hair is, like, a mess and thinning out and everything, and that they have huge bags under their eyes, as they were doing that, yeah, they were acting like we actually had a secret horrible thing going on here, and they caught evidence of it. Which I would assume to mean somebody said trans rights, or somebody said something negative about a billionaire in the chat. And tisk tisk, guys. Why would you be saying bad things about billionaires? For shame. Yeah, they're gonna be doing whatever it fucking takes, like I said, for the next few weeks here. It's not gonna be a day. It's not gonna end after today either. They're gonna keep it going. And we're gonna keep going anyways, because this is stupid. But that's why we're seeing a lot of this right now. But hey, guys over on Kiwi Farms, I hope you at least enjoyed watching all the GamePro stuff, because it's pretty fun to look back on. There's a lot of really interesting history that comes through video games and everything. I know the GamePro agenda is a bit of a scary one, but... Hi, Mom and Dad, I'm on TV. Smile for the camera. Cheese. It's gonna be a whole thing. Just keep this in mind too, because I know you're all now posting trans rights. That is going to get them angry, but that's going to make them double down on anyone who's saying it right now even harder, because they also feel like sometimes when somebody is now designated to be a bad person, they're just hiding behind that now. No, we were getting a hard time for this since the start that we were open-minded about any of this. Man, I fucking remember having people mad at me that I donated to Games Done Quick back at the time.
Because of the, What the fuck was it?
No, it's not the thing you're thinking of.
Oh.
It's more so because it's just Games Done Quick.
What's the one I'm thinking of then? Where it was like a race thing.
Oh, a race thing?
That it was like Antifa or some shit like that. That somebody was like mad. I'm surprised you don't remember this. It was like a huge deal.
There's been so much of it.
We lost people on Patreon and stuff.
Oh, that was more so. That was during Pride Month.
Yeah, that's even a separate thing.
Yes.
You donated to a charity that was about like protesters getting locked up.
Oh yeah, and they were saying you donate.
He's enabling black criminals.
And that it then turned into, that's a fake organization. It wasn't even real. Why would you want to go with someone who donates to like organizations that are like scamming people? I don't know. Why did you all donate to Sam Hyde? It's not a serious thing within that one either. It's just as simple as, how dare you say things that are positive about this. That's why everyone was lashing out at Mina. They donated to the NAACP, and people were trying to bring that up and get really fucking mad at them for it.
Right. It's a good example.
Which, by the way, when people try to showcase their evidence or their gotchas in some cases, it is something stupid like that. Somebody is open-minded about something, and that's supposed to be the gotcha. Being direct about things is a gotcha. You're supposed to lie to everybody. Why were these two talking about things openly and honestly? You're supposed to lie about everything. Because I don't want to. Neither of us ever wanted to. It was why we were distancing from a lot of this, because this was clearly not the right environment for us. But, welcome back, everybody. I know a lot of you are still in, like, a time capsule from, like, a decade ago, but hopefully you'll be able to catch up with the present. For example, Tumblr, the porn got banned on there actually a very long time ago. Did you know that NeoGAF is actually not a website anyone really uses anymore and hasn't been for a long time now?
Oh, it didn't work.
Hopefully you'll eventually live a little more in the present. But this whole thing trying to now force this into the ultimate betrayal or whatever, no, we've talked about these things, and Julian even just mentioned it. Chris told them that he was allowed to talk about these things openly anyways, like years ago. Like, seriously, what? Was it like in 2019 or something? 2020 that he told you that? Very long time ago here.
Yeah.
He wanted us to talk about other
I would
people.
assume 19. That seems like it would be like a pre-COVID thing.
Yeah, he was constantly telling me to talk about other people too.
Sorry. I have to move.
He wanted me to openly talk about the people that he disliked because he felt like he would like get more blowback if it were more on his own end. Like we're talking about this stuff and had talked about this stuff because we're already given that openness anyways. And once again, everyone does want to move ahead from it. But no, crowds are not going to let that happen. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be straightforward. It's going to be a whole thing. And just brace for it because, like I said, we knew this was coming. We just didn't know what day it would be, but here it is.
And I don't know how bad it's going to get.
I don't know either. We're probably going to have someone try to come out again. That part, I can't deny. We probably are going to have somebody try to come out again with, like, a gun. I wouldn't be doubtful on that one. They were trying to do it back in LA. And if we hadn't moved so many times, they would have probably gotten to us last time. But we've moved a lot. It's
We're just going to have to keep moving.
It's part of the reason why, I mean, we are at a spot that we barely can even live anymore because we still are catching up from everything.
Yeah, but we wanted to buy a house at one point. It just probably means we're never going to be able to.
No, I don't think we're ever going to be able to live comfortably. I don't think we can ever just be seated in a position and just do what we were trying to do this whole time. You were in the middle of working during that stream. I think that's something kind of awkward about it, too.
No, I agree. I do
The
agree.
narrative's supposed to be, there was no such thing as Trick or Treat, and now here you are working on it.
That's partially why I said, like, I'm glad I was working at the time.
That stream is really awkward because it shatters a narrative really hard.
And now it has to be part of the narrative.
Yeah. No, it'll be repurposed. It'll be treated as something bad anyways. Yeah, that's true too. People from Kiwi Farms, I was mentioning this even with like, if you fucking hate our guts and you want nothing to do with us, it's easy enough to just do that. If you want to go back and relive the better times, go ahead and do so. Like, those old videos are still there and everything. It's what I was even telling people during it. Once again, I don't know if that uploader cut that part out, but I did even say during that stream, hey, but don't just, like, be in this position now that you're not going to watch any of these guys or you feel like it's all been soiled and ruined for you. None of this is new information anyways, and also, it shouldn't have to soil it for you if you're already kind of taking in as entertainment. If you're being amused by their antics and where they're at right now, just keep watching it. There shouldn't be a thing that pushes you away. I'm not in a position where I would go, okay, Chris is never allowed to do anything again or something. No. I don't feel that way about, like, any of them.
In general, when people do bad things, they should be given a chance to actually rehabilitate. I do believe in the idea that, like, if somebody can be a good person still and somebody can change their ways, and they don't get that chance if they're dead.
But then it means the narrative could be ongoing.
Yeah. I mean, that's the unfortunate part of this idea. Is also just, what do you do when you find a person who is not interested in being better? And I don't have an answer for that. Yeah, this is the last thing on the map. Shouldn't have waited until last.
After the stream, I'm still going to be talking to some of the people I was already talking to yesterday. It's this weird thing again. Disappointment's not the word for it. I don't know what I would call it. I fully expected something to happen. I even planned for it, and I was completely right. But simultaneously, still just not being really happy about it. Not angry. No, it's not pissing me off or anything. Because once again, when you know it's coming, it makes it a little bit harder to feel that. But more so, just the fact that it was so directly matching almost everything that I already was even saying during that stream.
Your predictions are usually on point.
Enough so that it probably was good that I talked to people ahead of time here. After the stream, like I said, I'm going to get back to it with them. They're in a different time zone from me, so I would imagine. Actually, I think one of them isn't. But we'll see how that'll all go to. But
I don't have to redo this again.
yeah, this is a rotten thing. If the ultimate evil here it really is, you're not allowed to just be open about things because that means you're blaming everybody and that you think you're so much better. I said that yesterday too, that's what people want to take it as. People want to make it into whatever is convenient to just not have to hear it. And I think there's a reason why you need to give leans to something like that and also chop out almost everything from a really long stream down to 40 minutes like that too. You needed to give it a lean. Why do you think all those commentary channels were doing videos in recent years, too, trying to recontextualize when we talked about stuff? Trying to really make it into only a thing about Aaron. And then I get to have people getting mad at me now because they didn't pay enough attention to the fact that I said Aaron didn't do all of it, and I said it repeatedly at the time. And these guys truthfully know that, too. They know that this involved all three of these channels, Super Mega, OneyPlays, and Game Grumps. It wasn't just one, and I said that since the start. I even said Aaron did the least of it. That doesn't mean he didn't do anything. It just means he did the least. It's a rough spot to be in where the expectation is that you have to shut your mouth and let everyone else just kind of like recontextualize your life and say how you trying to step away from these things makes you into a villain. But if you acknowledge why you step away from them, you're a villain again. I'm a villain no matter what. I got it. I want to make my games now. I want to keep making stuff. I don't want to be in a position where it's just, no, you're not allowed to. You're stitched onto these people. You're not allowed to. And that is how it feels. People have very forcibly tried to sew us onto these people. It's why that comment I just read earlier, somebody acting like, seriously, I'm not allowed to be my own individual. And because I got hurt by somebody, I'm really evil for that, because that person is why anyone ever saw us. Well, that visibility is also why we got hurt in a lot of cases, too. This was not our environment. People knew that, and they picked up on it in a lot of cases at the time, too. It's why we were only there for about a month, and we were already seeing people lashing out pretty hard. And that doesn't mean you stop watching it if you like it. Feel free to keep watching their channel. It's probably better suited for you than it would be over here. I said it during that stream yesterday, too. Once again, I don't know if that got chopped out, but I did say that, too. I even kept saying over and over again, I know I made mistakes, too. But I think that's a frustrating thing to people when they're already trying to insist that you're full of yourself or whatever, where you go, and look at that. You think you're being humble now by saying you made mistakes? Okay, I didn't make any mistakes. Oh, look at you now, being full of yourself because you said you didn't make mistakes? Okay, abortions for some and not for others.
Tiny American flags. Get the quote right.
Sorry, it was American flags.
Why?
It wasn't abortions.
You're messing up.
I messed it up. I messed up the Simpsons quote.
Simpsons
Shit,
quote.
it wasn't abortions. It was tiny American flags.
No, it was. It was abortions for some, tiny American
That's
flags
what it
for
was.
others.
God damn it. Sorry. I haven't seen that
I
episode
only
in like 5
remember
years.
because it's a funny episode.
It is a funny episode, but I haven't seen it in like 5 years. Sorry, I did goof it up. I goofed up the Simpsons quote. Everything's over. Sign of mental illness right there. Don't even remember the Simpsons correctly.
Yeah. Sign of mental.
I mean, that's why I could joke about this stuff. We recognize it's absurd.
Yeah.
None of this is genuine right now.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's all you really can have, considering it is a circumstance that's supposed to be forcibly life-ruining. Adam, where is your email address? Because I've noticed that depending on what website you're using for emails, sometimes this domain ends up in spam folders or doesn't even seem to reach people. Because there are people who consistently say they get the email every time, like, immediately.
Yeah, it's true. People will show up and say, hey, I got here. I'm here from the email.
Yeah. Because that might be part of it.
So it definitely works for some people.
Well, we'll see where this continues to go, and if this is supposed to be a thing of, okay, you're the ultimate enemy now because you didn't have a good time with my favorite creators or something. One, reassess yourself, my guy, seriously. By the way, I threw in the my guy there because I know I know that's a phrase that annoys people.
This shit happened.
I don't like it as a phrase either.
This shit happened before you noticed. It's always been this case.
Yes.
This didn't magically just retroactively make stuff happen 10 years ago.
No.
That's not how it works.
No. But sorry about this, everybody, because yeah, the website had been pretty cool, calm, and collected. You know, when we first started.
And who knows? Maybe that's why this ended up happening. I guess I shouldn't say that because it started. With
I mean, I would assume that's why they're trying to act like it
that
was
tweet,
like it was a hug box, also paired up with. Which, by the way, funny enough, that YouTube comment section is.
I still wish I could have a hug box.
A box you could hug,
or
a box that hugs you.
That's literally what it is. No, wait, it's not 10. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I use pillows instead.
But we knew this was coming. We saw it all coming. You guys have seen in the past how often they were trying to make raids happen, even last year. And you know, with that, the angle of why we were sinister villains there was because we said things critical of Elon Musk, and we said positive things about trans people. It's weird how there's always a new angle of how we're the big villains. That's lolcow territory, I'm pretty sure, though. Because look at this, you're like responding and like laughing at people for lying and recognizing that they're exaggerating a situation. No, that's not what it is. You're making things up again. Actually, he's like really scared right now. It was really insane getting to watch that happen in real time during the game dev stream tonight. The fact that I can't stress it enough, guys. That's why it's the title of this stream. Julian said eating some macaroni upset his stomach, and immediately somebody tried to say it was him trying to like.
I'm gonna have a lot more than a tummy ache soon.
And that that's like secret phrasing. He's referring to suicide and he's trying to scare people about it. They're fucking desperate. They're desperate as hell to make this into the end of the world. But if you guys were wondering why dog piles happen to happen around this channel a lot, it's because they did since the start.
You don't have to say channel anymore. You're not on YouTube.
I guess that's true. I don't know. I say it because I shouldn't have said channel. I probably should have broadened it a bit more even. It's why sometimes I've been pointing out the Newgrounds connection, because Game Grumps is connected to Newgrounds too.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that earlier.
That's why I said sometimes Chris and Aaron acted very similarly, and if anything, it's why I always knew they could have been friends again even.
They're a product of the same community.
Aaron was trying to do a lot for Chris. Even if we were having a rotten time here and there, he was doing a lot for Chris.
He got him his visa and everything.
Yeah, he was letting him live there and everything. He was trying to help promote his channel and everything. He did do things for him. On our own end, we were literally, who the fuck are those two? I understand even for a brief period of time why they were getting upset about us being there. But he also got us put back on pay. We abruptly had a switch-up happen with a new editor coming in, and nobody was really talked to about it when it happened, and because of that, we also got told very directly now we're not going to be paid to do anything for recordings, and it's going to be back to being paid for, like, thumbnails and just Uber rides. And Aaron had a meeting with all of us and said that that's not allowed, and that's not cool, and that we need to actually get this established and get us put back on pay. Yes, he also had moments of doing things that contributed to some of the harm, too. He wasn't paying a lot of attention. Yeah, everybody there was completely intimidated by him and wouldn't have conversations with him because he would also act in an intimidating manner. He would go out of his way to sit people down. He did it about us at one point that he sat down a few different artists. But that's why I said he did the least of it, because he was not paying attention to a lot of this. It is why a lot of the harm could come through as well. That's why a lot of these messes were happening. He wasn't being very responsible when it came to some of this. But he is also trapped in a weird spot himself, because so was Chris. So were the Super Mega guys. So was, like, everybody here, like I said. You have a crowd hovering around all this, really wanting to see the worst happen to all of these people.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, people said that Aaron Hansen was their guy. Remember everyone trying to back him up and get him on the tester or whatever? Like that was some great victory for the internet? Oh, now it's moved. And that's why now Aaron is uncool. And it's like Toy Story saying, I don't want to play with you anymore, and they're dropping him in slow motion on the floor and moving on. And now he's an enemy to everybody because he's not cool anymore, so you can do whatever you want to. Except no, that doesn't make any goddamn sense. But that's how these things go. Internet audiences are ready to pounce when they feel like the moment is kind of right and they're not being given what they want out of something anymore. Everyone is desperate, everyone is scared, everybody is paranoid working within all of this. And that's why I can't be surprised that people get themselves put into weird, like, spots, positions, decision-making. But that was why a lot ended up happening, you know, the way that it did. And yes, it hurt us immensely back at the time. To ridiculous lengths and amounts. And some people having to operate purely on survival instinct to go, listen, it's either I do something here and now both of us get hurt, or you just get hurt, but at least I can survive. A lot of that happening too. Chris found himself in the middle of a lot of that, and to be fair, off of like Sleepy Cabin and a lot of the past and everything, I can't be surprised why he ended up there. You had a crowd of people who were pretty unhinged. You had a lot of people wanting to see a lot of genuine harm come about. You also were bringing somebody like Shadman around and normalizing the idea of like survival and the fittest of everything. Yeah, it was going to be a hard one to be able to kind of move ahead from. The longer you double down on that kind of thing, the messier it's going to get.
I forgot there's no map.
I'm not surprised that he has a lot of that fear around his own end and that he's been trying to prioritize just keeping himself safe through it all, which also means sometimes, yeah, letting other people get hurt. But even if he could still throw shade at us on occasion, even if he was still putting us down and getting people to lash out at us, even by the end of all of it, he did tell people, just leave us alone already, repeatedly. On our own end, we've been repeatedly also asking people, hey, let us move on. So considering that both ends were pretty mutual on that one, yeah, how about that then? I think that's the desperation right now, is to try to make it into something bigger, though. People know now that they're worried about their reputations, and now it's a moment of, can we make this hurt then towards reputations? Can we do something to make this into a problem? Because going back to what happened with the original Dream Daddy incident, it was a Rant Grumps post that specifically got a lot of it blowing up. Yeah. And it was the thing that Aaron saw that set him off and got him really insecure. That it found its way over to the Game Grumps subreddit off of the Rant Grumps subreddit, the same person posting it. Audiences creating all this fear is a great way to get creators sometimes to throw each other under out of desperation. And if to you guys throwing everyone under right now was just saying directly what happened, a conversation we've already had for years now and people already knew all of it and none of it was really new details, then obviously it's not coming from a very genuine place. The intent was to do harm. The whole point of all of this was to cause a disruption and to make harm take place. But now people remember we're around. So it is going to be messy over here for a while. Sorry about that one. We're still going to be doing Wii Wednesday. We'll still be doing PlayStation Fridays. Thing is, when it's our own website, it's a lot easier to even spot this kind of thing. We have not made any big posts anywhere about this website yet. So when there's a bunch of new people who show up in one day, I wonder where they're coming from. And funnily enough, for the Kiwi Farm side of it, we know when people are coming by anyways, because already Webhost indicates to me what websites people are kind of coming off of. I knew that happened with Dominoid as well when it came out. And by the way, yeah, why do you think people were lashing out when Dominoid went up? No, there's been a thing here wanting to continue to make problems for us. We're mentally ill or whatever. By the way, please ignore that Shad man in the corner over there. It's going to be a thing. It'll keep on. And we're going to keep on anyways, at least as long as we can. The most we can hope for right now is that someone's not going to come out with a gun again.
It would be nice if everybody could just go their separate ways peacefully.
Yeah, it would be. It's all anyone ever wanted for about a decade here anyways.
Anyway, what were you going to say?
Oh, someone just said, when's Dreamcast Drur's Day? I mean, we were doing the Sega Genesis Sunday, but even then, we haven't done it in a bit. Dreamcast would be fun to do again. I do like Dreamcast. Could just be Sega Sunday, and then we just do like Saturn or Dreamcast or Genesis.
That's not a bad idea.
Don't have a Saturn stream layout yet, though. And I do need to make one sometime soon. We want to play Vampire Savior. It'd be fun to do. Sorry, is that bad to be talking about the things that we're doing when people kind of want us to be shut down right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, that might be in poor taste to be talking about the things like they kind of are the same that they always have been, and that we're just, you know,
it's fucking frustrating. But, I guess we'll see what happens. I don't know how intense the backlash is going to be right now.
It's going to be bad.
I'm not interested in backing down.
No, I'm not either.
If this is what kills me, then that's what it has to be. That fucking sucks.
But at the same time, we both did know this.
I'm not going to, you know, take it back.
As we were getting hurt even back in like 2016, 2017, we knew
why we decided
to
try to downplay it, to not talk about it much.
And even then we did. We still eventually went into everything. I think that's why the stream yesterday is a weird one. None of it was new.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do Monday streams, not always. Once again, we're trying to juggle a lot right now. Julian does game development streams every Tuesday and Thursday, and has been for years now. We have an update coming out for 2 of our games in just a couple of weeks here that we've been working on. We are about to make a big new Patreon post showing a lot of the progress that we had made on Trick or Treat as well as Tough Bippy. We have our rhythm game kind of together. We just need to get still some music stuff done for it, but at the point with admittedly a lot of placeholder assets, everything is kind of coded in there. Menu screens and everything's optimized and functioning the way it should. Gameplay loop is there. Even changed it up It's an analog stick-driven game now, but we got that we're going to be showing. We got a lot of stuff going on. Been up to a lot. Part of the reason this is happening right now, too, is a lot of people don't follow us for these things. That person who was trying to be threatening and everything he was saying earlier, over the fact that we're not working with people that they liked, they were right about something here. It's true, a lot of people don't actually follow us for the things that we're doing. They very much wanted us to be sewn on to other people. And when you're getting mad at somebody else in that kind of way, like I said, it should be a moment that you look at yourself a little bit and actually listen to what you're saying. Why were you following people for people who weren't them? How does that make any sense? If we're not them, then why were you there? And if you're gonna go, well, no, see, you like got like attention through it, and we walked away, and everybody continuously said for years, hey, leave them alone, and we said, yeah, we want to be left alone, and we don't want to be a part of any of that, and you can leave them alone too.
Still wasn't enough.
Why did that have to be such an ongoing thing? Why is it somebody has to dig up things from, like I said, almost a decade ago and kick all that all off again? That Twitter post, by the way, like I said, it wasn't negative, it wasn't against us, but I got a lot of blowback because they specifically tagged the OneyPlays account on it. So you had a lot of people flocking in there to jump to the defense of all of it and act like we're horrible people who shouldn't be trusted, saying that Julian wasn't allowed to say he didn't want to do merchandise. And at the cause of all this, the root of all this, the thing really at this core here, that's what we're fighting about? The fact we didn't want to do merchandise? That's what this is all about?
I mean, I'm not surprised. Doesn't it always come down to money?
I guess so. But no, a lot of people don't follow us for the things we're doing. It's true. It's why, like I said, we would try not to bring up our own projects in any videos when we were doing them. We did a lot to try to move ourselves away from everybody else so we could just go back to being ourselves and not have to inconvenience the people who wouldn't want this. But they were mad anyways. You'd have people come by and make demands that, hey, you need to get everybody on your website right now. We're not talking to them anymore, and we already said we're not. Nope, that's not good enough. You have to elaborate further. Why? So you can lash out? Yes, I mean, no, I mean, yes, I mean, elaborate. Okay, I'll elaborate because I already have for years anyways. I'll just say the same thing I just said to you again. Well, I just clipped it. I know, I knew you were going to do that. That's why I talked about it the way that I did. It's going to be an ongoing thing. We were never in a position that we were expecting people to follow us off of these things either and think that we're like Newgrounds or something. And that's why I even mentioned it during that stream too. Once again, I don't know what got cut, but I even said on the previous stream, we're not Newgrounds. We never were. And I think that's a mistake people were making anyways, was thinking that we were. And by the way, a lot of those guys from Newgrounds don't really want to associate with us either because of what our image is and, you know, what we believe in and things that we care about. We're not necessarily compatible here. And that would be easy if there wasn't a crowd. You would just all move on. It would have always just been as easy as that. But there is a crowd, and there is expectations. And on the opposite end, at least it's not as frequent there to bring up, hey, where are those two guys? But on our end, it's almost all anyone really wants to do, and they're always incredibly hostile and aggressive about it. It's never calm. It's always very, very, very intense that we're not allowed to go move on and do our own thing. And that's why after you double down and you type about 20 paragraphs worth of material in relation to this and everything, you then also ultimately have to go, but it's their fault for saying anything. Yeah, I know. Lacking in self-awareness and projection is how a lot of stuff operates at this point online. Trying to make mountains out of molehills is how a lot of this works. You have to keep in mind 12 different YouTuber names. Like, you have to know that Badass Pancake Man is in a fight right now with Naruto Fan. It doesn't even make any goddamn sense to anybody outside of any of this, but it's how a lot of these things also thrive as well. I think that's why people were thinking that macaroni meant something. Hamburger time. But sorry to everybody. Sorry.
How's Wormhole holding up? Are they okay?
I hope Werma's okay. I haven't seen them in the
Werma's
chat
also
in a
having
bit.
a really
No,
bad time
Werma's
these
having a tough
days.
time too. Everybody's having a tough time right now. The world's in a really tough place. But this was the elephant in the room. It was there the whole time. Even if people didn't notice it, it was there the whole time. A bunch of people absolutely noticed. They knew since the start.
Yeah, a lot of people did know from the start. We would see comments now and then that
Yeah.
were like 100% on point.
Yeah. A lot of the early lashing out, it was people who understand what was going on. That's why they were mad at us to begin with. No, a lot of this isn't new. So we can't afford therapy, by the way. I know people keep saying get therapy because it's supposed to be a dismissive write-off statement. But even if we did, yeah,
This is what the therapy would be about.
what should I tell the therapist about, like, can I get them to stop that person from coming by with a gun? What would the therapist do to change that one? Maybe they can come over, and maybe they can come outside and, like, sit them down on the couch and go, tell me why you want to do this right now. And they break down going, Doc, it's been so rough, it's been so rough. Getting therapy doesn't undo the fact that that is how far this went. This is in like cloud cuckoo land here. We're not we're not operating through standard terms. It doesn't matter what we do in some cases. You can still see something as unhinged as that happening, and then the response that we're getting here today is the insistence on we're supposed to just let that happen. Because once again, it's the idea of anything is bad. Anything is wrong. We've been horrible since the start. Oh, we're evil. And you can keep feeling that way. You can keep insisting on that kind of thing. If seriously voicing that we had a bad time for like the 18th time after everyone tried to make it into a thing again is the ultimate form of evil, I guess I'm more thankful that that's the track record. Is just a consistent through line of, gee, it's like you all know what's been happening this whole time already then anyways. I don't think there actually is a lot of confusion. It's just about being able to handle that information or not, and most of these people cannot. Most people cannot handle the fact that this is the reality of it and has been for a long time. But yeah, it's gonna be pretty rough for a while here. It's gonna be pretty rough. Most people behind the scenes already understand that this is going on right now and don't care and aren't bothered by it.
We've talked about these issues with all of the people involved already.
Yeah.
It's not a surprise to them.
But if you want me to be upfront and honest, yeah, Chris is probably going to be the one who's going to react maybe the strongest to it because he's really worried about his own image and has been. Even though he also told us that we were free to openly talk about these things, specifically to Julian. He told him that long
I don't
ago.
remember. Were you there when he said that?
I
or
was.
that...
No,
okay.
I was. I was there for it. He said it more than once, even. He had brought it up repeatedly. And on my own end, he was telling me in the past to say things about other people, and I can even tell other people things about him in relation to who he doesn't like and everything.
I was naive at the time. I did kind of just assume, why would anybody do something that they don't want everybody to know about? And I was operating on that logic for a really long time. I would say that it's only recently that I've started to understand why it is, because I think you even said the same thing earlier today, right? Before I started streaming, that I'm the sort of person who just wants to be open at all times and stuff like that.
Someone said, I'm seeing that it's only Ding Dong getting insulted by these people. Oh, boy.
I'm very sorry.
We can get into a whole thing with
that.
that.
Is. It doesn't make any sense to me, but it is true. I even talked about it on stream earlier today, that everything I do gets attributed to him. I don't know why he gets it worse.
It's kind of how it was already back in LA, too.
Yes, no, it's how it's been your whole life is what you made it sound like. That people just pick on you.
But I guess that can also lend something to this too, how you know you're not dealing with serious people at the moment. Oh, it's only one of us apparently, huh?
Yeah. Right, exactly. Like I said, I am way tougher about this stuff than Dee Dee is. It makes me way more angry.
You
It
haven't
makes
been
me feel
designated.
way more intense, but for whatever reason, yeah, it doesn't matter what I say. They're always going to blame him for
I'm
it.
supposed to be like another Aaron, I guess.
I don't know what the dynamic is. Even within the, you also brought up earlier how people would keep pulling me aside to try to be like, Ding Dong's acting weird, don't you think?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
When you were there for all of it, you got to see everything.
it's happened multiple times with different people. It happened with Chris, but it also happened with other people.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why it's a thing. That everybody assumes I'm on their side even when I explicitly tell them
Because
I'm
people
not.
have a difficult time creating villains in their own head. And with something like Chris, I know he had that as an issue too. Sometimes 3 people could have ended up doing something to him, and he only looks at one of them. Because it's kind of hard to have to think of 3 different individuals, all with different opinions and thought processes, all together there. It's easier to just mash the 2 things together and then dump it off on somebody. No, we even talked about it earlier. The Dream Daddy thing, I wasn't even going to talk about it. Julian really wanted to talk about it, and there was a lot of insistence on pushing ahead on that one. These things have been impacting him severely over the years. We have really rough times at home sometimes because people make this into so much of a thing. During that stream, I had mentioned how Julian had timed somebody out in his stream, and they went to Rant Grumps immediately to complain about it. And that was only a few weeks ago. It was fairly recent. That's what these guys are hovering around. That's what a lot of people are just interested in at this point. We threw ourselves out there because we thought we were helping the people around us and everything. Not really. It's just everyone was having a kind of a hard time being able to just be mature and talk things out with one another. Got too public, got too ahead of itself. Everyone had reality settle in on that one, and it made them really uncomfortable, and no one knew how to handle it. Because this is a really absurd situation. How do you handle it? I don't think you do. There's not really an easy way to handle this one. It's just going to be a problem. Someone said maybe it's because they see you as a target when someone like Ding Dong is able to articulate saying the real narrative and that's threatening to them. Probably to a degree, but Julian was doing it way harsher than I was in some cases. In terms of talking about these things, Julian was talking about it constantly and frequently on the streams for years, and just people weren't really paying attention to Julian and didn't even seem to pick up on it.
I think it was like, it wasn't even...
Like a few weeks ago?
Super... Oh, I was going to say, I was going to go back as far as possible and talk about how I was talking about, like, Chris believes in Gamergate, stuff like that. And people on stream did hear me. They would be like, oh, wow, interesting. And then, like, it would just never come up again.
Yeah. I don't know where he's at on that one at the time now, but back then, yeah, no.
No, but
there was a brief
just
window
giving
of
an
it.
example, my point is that there were multiple times where I was like, Chris and I have extremely different views in politics.
Yeah.
I was so fucking clear with people for years. And it just, people just selectively remember what they want to.
No, it's why the furry thing too.
Yeah, the furry thing is a really good example. I was really open about being a furry.
Yeah.
And the narrative has to change.
And
No, it's a secret that they're ashamed of. I never gave a shit.
You've drawn like everything ever, but that's not the component. That's not what people want. I think it's because people were really hoping.
I said Gamergate. I meant Pizzagate. That's stupider.
Oh yeah.
I said Gamergate. No, I
Hey,
don't know. I
you
don't know
gotta
if
give-
I don't know if he believes in Gamergate, but
I was hearing people
quit
already
about
going,
Pizzagate.
well, you got to give Pizzagate something. There was a whole secret society thing going on. Yeah, from the people who were planting the seeds to begin with. The Epstein files have already come out and shown a lot of that. Moot fucking met up with them. By the way, hey, anyone who's like talking about this kind of thing, if Gamergate is now the clue-in word that we're gonna have like Kiwi Farms people angry, yeah, I'll throw another uncomfortable one in there for you guys too. Moot was in the Epstein files. You know, the guy who used to operate 4chan? Yeah, Moot. He's in the Epstein files.
I think they know that.
He went to go meet with him. Oh, I'll just say it again anyways. Moot was in the Epstein files. Gee, that was nice. I'll say it again. Moot was in the Epstein files. I'll say it again. Moot was in the Epstein files.
Oh, so was Bill Clinton. I meant to sound angry, but I couldn't say it
Because it's too
with
absurd.
a straight face.
And that they were referring to him as being like, he's really sensitive.
Yeah. It would be. something awful was too much for him.
It's, this is the world that we're operating in right now. And there could be a little bit of truth to that. I'm willing to talk about things and be very direct about them and go into length if I have to and really establish things. Which, by the way, is why it always gets cut down. Isn't that interesting? But, maybe that's a part of it, but I don't know. Julian has gone into things even longer than I have sometimes and is able to go way harder than I do, too, so I don't get it. I really don't. Unless if it was really just supposed to be, I really thought that you were, you know, against the SJWs, and you changed, man. No, this is where it was all along. That's why I kept making distance from groups that were getting involved with a lot of this stuff.
I always assumed that's why people were nicer to me, because they thought that I was that type of person.
They definitely did. You had some people thinking that you were, that they bring these things up to you where you'd even have your own moments of like, why are you saying this to me? Fucking Shadman came over to you and was talking about how much you liked Hitler.
Yeah. Hey, good timing.
Who blew Bill's Clinton again? Soul Bad Guy. And as it was happening, he went, by the way, Bill, did you know you could kill your friends guilt-free?
Oh, no.
Soul Bad Guy, you're gonna have to get out of here. I can't let people know that I just heard you say that. I did not have relations with the beasts.
You blamed them. Guy's done. Yes, fantastic. Will you do that?
Sounds like the Beavis and Butthead one. I don't remember what it sounds like in Beavis and Butthead. Oh man, Beavis and Butthead Do America's Great. I really like when he uses the intercom system and you can hear everybody in Congress starting to laugh exactly like them in response. Now, I'll mention again, because once again it got truncated on the previous stream too. It's why I said, I hope Chris is doing a lot better now. Considering this is what's always been hovering around us, I'm sure it's a lot of stress off of his own end anyways, with us being able to move more off to the side. I know he doesn't want to hear about a lot of this stuff. I know it's why he was so concerned about that finale and why he was handling it the way he did.
I do feel bad for him because it seems like he has a very unhappy life.
Yeah, I mean, that is part of it too. And the last time that we did see him, he was expressing he was pretty unhappy. He didn't like where a lot was going. He still wanted to, you know, maintain this, you know, tough exterior and everything. He wanted to still go with a lot of this, but I know it's something that's been impacting him since the start, all this. I hope he's doing a lot better, but I don't know. In general, I hope everybody's doing better. And it is why it was so weird yesterday, having to kind of relive some of it again, and just... That's why I had moments of even freezing up a bit that I'd be like, man, it's fucking strange as shit having people demanding you to go relive 10 years ago again. Yeah, it was really intense living through it at the time, but it's a lot weirder when you're in a modern setting being demanded to look back on it again and again and again. But hey, when you're desperate, you're desperate. The same kinds of people would say you can't talk about something that happened, it was only a year ago. And also going, hey, this happened 12 years ago now and we should talk about it. There's no rules here. You're gonna have people just state that there's rules and that's how these things go, but that's just to make themselves feel better about doing it. There are no rules here. That's why we're fine to talk about it too. I know you're not supposed to do that kind of thing, because that's considered to be, what, like, poor form in terms of like internet guidelines or whatever, but that's why we're not taking this fully too serious, because we've already done this numerous times and the same old discussions. Like I said, I'm sure some people aren't going to be too happy that, yeah, like, now this is turning into a thing, But they were aware of these things already.
It could have been avoided. I think that's the frickin' frustrating thing, is that we've tried really hard to make this not have to be an issue. But there's too many people out there who really want to force it.
No.
And they were always going to get their way eventually. At least they have some entertainment, I guess. Didn't you say similar the other day that you were like, well, I guess at least somebody gets their way?
Yeah, but then I jokingly said like the bike cuck approach. That's what I refer to it as. But that does seem to be the thing that would unanimously make most people happy, as if we were just kind of like suffering. I'd assume that's why also this happening here today.
I don't think there's going to be enough time.
Saying you got hurt by somebody that a lot of people perceive to be there for you on everything, and that you're the villain for acknowledging that it happened, really is one like fucking wild thing to try to spin people's heads around on. But a lot of these people are kind of already married to that as a concept anyway, so it makes sense to them at least. But like I said, today has been a great stunning example to prove nobody ever actually cared about anything that happened to us, and it was all performative to just try to get Aaron Hansen hurt. And
not that you needed the proof of that. You said it multiple times.
Yeah, I said it multiple times, even in those streams back at the time and everything, too. It's just been proven even further here. So if that's what this was supposed to be leaning towards as well, it's not going to really do anything towards that.
Yeah, they're not going to get there in 3 seconds.
You have to believe, Julian. They're going to get there in 3 seconds.
2 seconds.
2 seconds. They're going to get there in 1 second. Okay, they didn't get there. Oh, wait! I saw the number go up. It went up by, like, 6.
Thank you. I'm gonna grab some water real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Oh, I have it right here, actually. Has anybody, I have not seen it yet, but has anybody yet said the idea of, listen, people get death threats all the time?
I bet. That was another one of the things I said during that stream, which once again, I don't know if it got cut, but I also got into that I said, you know, you'll see people kind of come up with like anything in relation to this sort of thing to justify what it is they're doing. Someone goes way too far with something, goes, well, it's their fault for speaking. And that's why you could even get into that. Somebody going, come on, people get threatened all the time. I brought up how in the beginning of the 2010s, getting a threat online didn't mean as much to people until sort of Gamergate did happen and things pushed forward. And now you get to hear stories all the time about YouTubers seriously trying to find each other in real life. YouTubers shooting each other, killing each other, streamers killing each other. Streamers, like, murdering their wife and then, like, trying to pretend that they're them for, like, video content. We're at, like, the most, like, desperate and intense point for all of this right now. Threats absolutely lead to things at this point. I could have made more room for that maybe, like I said, like 15 years ago or something, but absolutely not right now. No, it's very commonplace. Of course they're going to say stuff like that. They'll say anything. Once again, if the idea of talking about how you got hurt means that you're actually the problem, then yeah, you're not listening and you don't want to listen because you want there to be a problem. You want more harm to happen, if anything. It's, oh, shut up and lay down and take it. Come on. No. I'm willing to be upfront about it. I'm not going to stop. And that's why I'm sorry that this was news to people when, once again, we've talked about it for years, and also a lot of this stuff is ancient history and in the past anyways with some of it. Some of it was fairly recent, but even through all of that, as rough as a lot of it was.
Fuck, the frog got set off early. Hopefully that doesn't ruin it later.
I hope they're at least making themselves feel better about things, excessively replying to each other and trying really hard to boost it as much as they can. Because somebody was saying, like, no, they're saying right now, too, like, they should have kept their mouths shut while simultaneously saying none of this ever happened. Yeah, it's weird. They can't make up what form of lying it's supposed to be because none of it makes any sense. I brought up specific examples of things you can even go back and just find anyways. Once again, it's consistent to the through line that we've been discussing for years now. But that's why you get into that step too, because it's supposed to be, you have to give us more, which I also talked about during that stream. I mentioned that during the Dream Daddy thing, there was an intense demand of, okay, you never actually saw anything, so I at least showed a little bit of it, but then it was, no, that's not good enough. You need to upload the whole build for everybody. No? Okay, wait a second. You're just asking for this because you just want to keep asking for things and you're never going to stop asking for things and you're going to insist that you haven't been convinced until you're given more and more. And now you're getting into the point of, no, this is where you're like actually doing bad shit because people are trying to pressure you into doing bad shit. No, I'm not going to share their prototype for everybody to go and have. I at least showed that I had it, and I showed a video of it, and I showed the file settings, the display of it all. I showed everybody that I had it. It was called D-Dads originally, and I can stop it there. I'm not going to push beyond that. But that's why that kind of thing, too. And hey, if it's not true, then why are you doubling down on it so hard? Because we need to prove everyone you're lying. By also saying that these things did happen while also saying they're not happening, you're going to need to make up your mind on which one it is.
Goomba effect much?
Is that a thing, Goomba effect?
I don't remember.
The Princess Peach
the thing
philosophy?
Where the two Goombas and you go, I'm a stupid idiot. You know what I mean?
I actually don't know this one.
You don't know this
one?
one?
No, I don't know this one.
That there's like two Goombas and one person is imagining a composite of them. And, oh, I forgot to do this. I'm gonna do a bad job explaining. That, like, the attributing the same opinion to multiple people, or that multiple people had, but attributing to one person. I'm sorry, I don't actually remember the name of it.
But yeah, once again, we're getting into the territory of trying to apply logic to this. Logic is out the window. That's not what this is.
Right, yeah.
They want to have their entertainment, and they've been trying to force conflicts with us over the years because they knew we were willing to talk about things.
That is the reality of the subject. Is
they know we can talk about things, and we're always trying to be upfront about things, so they can bait us into having conversations about these things again.
It's that people who did know the situation, they knew exactly what the situation was. They really want to try to actually force it. And I mean, yeah, now it's in the open when we didn't originally want it to be, but like, so what? It has to be that way now.
And even with the concept of it's drama for their entertainment, right, which is why they had to manufacture even the drama on this one. What drama? If it's supposed to be this thing of, oh, everybody is like arguing visibly right now. Funny thing, they're not.
Like I said,
you're trying to force it into happening, though.
We already talked with Aaron about this. We already talked with Chris about this. We already talked with Zach about this.
Yes. No, they're trying to force it into being a thing. They want to make this into a drama because it was never good enough. And I think a moment they were all waiting for, too, was something where it was too obvious now that there had been falling outs between people. So they could go, you know, full-blown, okay, I need to now pummel you into the ground.
Yeah, now it's okay for us to try to kill them.
Someone said it's called Goomba fallacy.
Thank you.
It does suck a lot. It sucks pretty hard. That there was an expectation of just we're never allowed to say anything that happened to us, and by the way, it has to continue that we keep getting lashed out at, whether we say something or not. It does suck. I know the thing, too, of trying to get into, you need to take responsibility. I did already. Even during the stream I did. Isn't that interesting? It's not about that. It's not about anything. It's about trying to force people into fighting with each other. And then maybe you can run a bunch of videos about it and you monetize all of them. That's what they did last time. Once again, somebody was ballsy enough to include the clip where I said the only reason anybody would be doing a video about this right now is not because they cared about what happened to us, but because they wanted to specifically, you know, make a conflict happen around this. And that they're trying to take profit from it. Wouldn't you know? That's what's happening with this. Yeah. Isn't it interesting that when more people are involved, when I initially said more people were involved, that now it's a betrayal. And now it's bad and wrong. When nothing changed, it's the same story anyways. People were just able to pick up on it better what kind of happened. When your mindset is, it has to be all or nothing for Aaron Hansen or it doesn't count, once again, you need to look at yourself a little bit. You need to start kind of picking up on yourself a little bit how ridiculous you're being. If you're oblivious to it, these people aren't. They know what they're doing. They 100% know what they're doing. That's why they're doing it. Well, the reason that people are watching, it's why there's such a high view count right now, is because they want to document it. They want to keep it going. They're all going to be hovering around this for the next few days, and they're going to be desperately clinging on to anything that they can. They're going to lash out at Julian during game development streams. They're going to try to mess up Wii Wednesday or something, probably. They're going to act like we dropped some hidden message during Wii Wednesday, or someone took a breath a weird way, because that's also how far they go with these things, too. They're going to say these things didn't happen, but then continue to get angry about them saying they also did happen and they didn't happen, and confusing themselves and just kind of tripping over each other awkwardly to try to make it into more of a thing. And will they succeed at doing it? Oh, of course they will. With how the internet operates right now, once again, people can make money off of this. Oh, no, they will. We've been living this entire time anyways. Right now, we just have a bunch of people lashing out saying that we're supposed to be hurt, and it was wrong for us to say we were being hurt. It's not much more complicated than that, really. A lot of the people who were creating the problems to begin with are also there now to be swinging at us because we acknowledge that there were problems. And like I said, too, problems we acknowledged long ago, things we've already talked about on stream, yesterday wasn't news. Yesterday wasn't brand new material. It's stuff that's been around for a while now anyways. It's just, once again, people were already editing my clips down and trying to make it exclusively about Aaron Hansen, when, like I said at the time, that's why taking responsibility, everybody messed up. There's no good guy. But for some reason, even that's being viewed as a negative statement. Isn't that interesting? Saying take responsibility when something like that's already being said, and the idea of, yes, I know I did stupid things too. I didn't want to initially speak about Dream Daddy, and I kind of knew it was going to go this way, but I ended up doing it, and that was my fault for doing it too. No, I understood that. Everybody made mistakes on this. Part of the reason we have people coming to us to also talk about these things is because, once again, yeah, who are we? We're small. It's easier when it gets to be in a smaller case like this, because when it's bigger, it's going to be even messier than this is right now. But it'll be a thing. It's gonna suck for quite a long time here. Things were already rough enough. Things were already really tough to get by. Things have already been very difficult. I'd like to be able to, obviously, move ahead. So would Julian. But anytime that we try to move ahead, it usually gets people angry with us because they can notice that we're trying to move ahead. The hope is to perpetually stall this and just keep us in a loop on this one. But they're gonna have all their own conversations. If you guys want to actually have a bad time here tonight, go look up the re-upload from the one stream that they even titled it his quote-unquote last stream. They changed that video title. Go look at that one and look at the comment section on it. It doesn't match the public narrative about, we were really worried because of what Aaron did. It's actually a lot of them cheering for everything that happened to us and thinking that we're idiots and deserved every last bit of it, even when they thought it was Aaron. It wasn't going to matter what we did or said. It doesn't matter what reality looks like. We tick enough boxes here to have people online be mad at us, and it's just going to kind of be this way the whole way through. Oh, I'm not going to run ads on here. Megastar, that's the point of this website. They just said it's a shame you don't run them. A shame? No. We're not doing that. That's the point of this website. It's supposed to be straightforward, that you just click over and you watch. It's supposed to be very straightforward.
In theory, you could do ethical ads, but like that's definitely like the lowest priority right now. We need to actually make stuff. That's the kind of project for like way down the line.
Jimmy Turner, what will happen is we'll do Wednesday. A bunch of people will come over. They're going to try to do something in the chat and immediately get caught because it's new accounts, and it'll be really obvious because we've never posted anywhere in a big way that we're doing this website right now. So that won't really work. Then they're going to be shitting themselves and rage off to the side while continuously insisting they're not mad about this, which is why they're doubling down and wasting all their time on it. And then they're going to try to figure out making mountains out of molehills over any kind of discussion we have. Around whatever we're playing or whatever happens to come up. And really what they're hoping for is probably a moment that I'm going to say something negative about Walt Disney or something and then go, see, there's the proof. They're leftist. You don't like Walt Disney?
Lerma would probably say something about communism, and that could be an issue.
That could be. I don't even align with Lerma's views on a lot of that, but yeah, that could be a thing.
That's why you're dangerous.
Could just be something mentioning like, oh yeah, I know they're frightened about the midterms right now. See, I knew it. That's what their agenda is.
We got 3 seconds.
They talked about what's in the world news.
Too bad, but boy, isn't it satisfying to see a big line of things going. Ah, well.
And then they will do everything I probably even just said here while acting like somehow they're above it because they need to convince themselves they're above things that people called out before they even did them. The fact that respect is not being shown to them lashing out like this is why they're going to do it harder. Part of this is also supposed to be an experiment towards getting you to, like, kowtow to it and just let them continue doing it, which is what they wanted in the past, too. There's a clip I saw recently that was pretty goofy because I was frustrated to see that was the result. An old guy gets mad at someone else at a baseball game because he's sitting during the national anthem, smacks him on the back of his head, and everyone around him is even going, what the fuck, man? Like, they're mad at him? But the guy who gets smacked very sort of pathetically ends up standing up anyways, where it's, no, what? That's the wrong response. You gave him what he wanted. You just rewarded him on this one. I saw some people going, you should have knocked him the fuck out. No, not necessarily, but no, you shouldn't be standing up here. You shouldn't be giving him exactly what he wants when you knew this was bad that he just did that. And that's what the demand would be here. The demand would be, you need to back down and say you're stupid, dumb, and also everything you said is a lie, every last bit of it. That's why I feel so threatened by it. For some reason. No, it's a whole thing within itself. The thing of none of this ever happened is pretty amusing within itself, too, when I was actually reading bits of the legal document. You guys must be giving me a lot of credit. You think I can make up a legal document on the spot? But, yeah. I think we covered just about everything on this at this point, because, you know, if they want to milk it for days, is this getting boring for you guys yet? Probably not, but... Even on my own end, it's actually anything that was kind of feeling like tension is kind of drifting away here because it is this stupid, and you can't even talk about it for that long.
I guess
what hasn't been talked about at this
the
point?
thing is, I don't like what you're not expecting them to come at you with like, I have some logical disagreements with your.
They're not.
No, they're just gonna come and say hateful things.
Yes. And demanding that this is why people should take it serious, and then a lot of their comments are just them getting angry about us saying things like trans rights and garbage like that. The people who are already not pulled into this kind of shit, no, it's gonna read kind of very directly for what we were already talking about. I think they want to mess up connections with the people that we know, when, once again, I was already speaking to some of them about this stuff prior anyways, and on top of that, too, these aren't new things that came up on stream. Julian just mentioned it earlier. He was told directly by Chris that he's free to talk about all of these things. Chris's phrasing was different for me. but that he said that specifically with a lot of these things, he wants it to be out there, and he's fine with me talking about them, and he was even bringing up specific people saying I should tell people that he doesn't like them, because he doesn't want to be in a position that he has to act like he enjoys
I actually do
them.
remember that now that you mention it. Not that it matters.
No.
Me corroborating things you say is not permissible evidence.
No. Nothing is. That's the secret to this one. Nothing is. Sourdough bread. I think that's why it's a bit different here tonight and kind of a goofy one. They're still stirring up all their own shit between each other and, like, writhing around in just, you know, pissed off, miserable rage, but at the same time, too, you guys are here watching this stream and getting to see the two ends live in unison, all together at once, and seeing the difference between the two. One end thinks that Julian talking about being lactose intolerant is him trying to get pity, and that he's talking about committing suicide and it's code language. Everyone else is hearing Julian say, I shouldn't have ate that macaroni, it upset my stomach. Doing something like this, actually, I haven't really seen people go about it this way, but I think it is kind of interesting as an experiment. That you can watch live on the spot what this is like, how people try to reinterpret the things that are currently happening. And I think people need to become familiar with this as a concept.
Because it happens constantly.
It happens constantly. People fall for it all the time. Usually because someone doesn't have time to respond. That's why they tend to try to go to places where nobody is saying anything. For example, the Twitch chat right now might be even going over there because they know we're not streaming over there right now.
I don't think you can do that.
I think you can use the Twitch chat even when they're not live.
When they're not streaming.
I thought you could.
I don't think so. Maybe.
Pretty sure you can.
If so, that's... I didn't know.
The point is to try to recontextualize the situation and make it into something much worse.
Which will be more effective as time goes on.
Yes. Today is just the beginning of it. It's going to be really bad in about a week here. Once they contact their alt-right buddies to start making commentary videos about it and everything, it'll be getting a lot worse. They're going to try to blow it up like this is the end of the world, when once again, these were things we already talked about on stream. And the only reason the people that we used to interact with would be upset by it is because they feel like the pressure is too much now, and now they need to, like, do something because they're terrified about also getting hurt, even though they're not the ones being targeted here. And that's why, like I said, too, I already was talking to people coming off of that stream anyways, because I knew this stupid shit was going to be a thing that would come out afterwards. I knew it even during the stream, and I even pointed it out multiple times that I knew it was probably a thing that was going to happen. After that ancient post from Julian about the plush thing was spreading around the way that it was, I knew this stuff was going to happen again just off one of our streams. All it was going to take was streaming again after that blew up, and people were going to make it into a big thing again. And they did. Okay, cheeseburger, I will time you out on that one.
What happened?
That they tried to say death to somebody. No, I will time you out on that one. And if somebody's going to screenshot that one or try to do something, well, you just got it there. No, don't be ridiculous like that. Not sure if you're trying to get a whole thing going towards that now. They went, well, I'm going to say something in your chat to try to make it look bad that they can screen cap. Okay. Here's the audio for it right now, and you can hear it right here. Yeah, no, don't do that shit. Knock it off. Oh, someone finally picked up on it that they said, that's what the macaroni thing is? Yeah, that's what the macaroni thing was. They're in desperation mode to try to make it into something much bigger than it actually was. And they're really angry because we're not treating this with, like, fear. We understand the absurdity of it and what they're trying to force happen right now. We already were going to stream tonight and everything. We're already going to be doing this stuff, so this just kind of gets to go in line with all of it anyhow. I hate the macaroni incident. Now, I almost had a thing going earlier. I say macaroni and cheese. Cheese, S.
Yeah, just cheese pizza.
Think about this one, like, very carefully here. Cheese. C-H-E-E-S-E. There's 3 E's in it. E3. That's the kind of shit that they do sometimes. And by the way, that's why the Pizzagate stuff was also so effective. Think about it. Cheese pizza. You're right, that sounds really absurd, but guess what? It was a thing that Epstein was doing, specifically with a lot of these right-wing constituents. Dershowitz was in there, and they accidentally forgot to redact his name, and then they had to do it later. Steve Bannon, the one that was, like, singing praises about Gamergate, he's in the Epstein files all over it. That's why I brought up the Moot thing, and I'll bring it up again. Hey, guys, Moot was in the Epstein files.
Why is this
Did I mention that? What?
Why is this the world we live in?
I don't know why this is the world we live in, but it is. Moot was in the Epstein files. I think that was still one of the nuttiest to see. And specifically the time around it. That poll already did exist prior, but it stopped running. And that literally the day after Moot hung out with Epstein and everybody was sending emails around about meeting Moot in real life and everything and having conversations with them, poll made its comeback. By the way, I'm willing to talk about some of these things on stream, and I'm sure that's a thing that's going to make a lot of them angry, too. And that might be why sometimes they just treat it like it's a me thing and not Julian. Even though Julian talks about these things, too.
Would you say I'm more politically extreme than you are? Oh, I forgot to.
I would say, probably.
Would you? I don't know, actually.
You keep telling me I'm not extreme at all. You keep telling me I'm going too easy. If anything, I'm kind of surprised you're asking that as a question, considering that you always say that I'm going too soft on everyone.
Because that's not the same thing. You're talking about just kind of like normal conduct versus politics.
But that's why we're wrapped up in a much bigger thing than all this. Even Kiwi Farms has its connections to some of this weird-ass shit. Was it Marjorie Taylor Greene using Kiwi Farms in the past? It's a whole fucking thing. Internet has been one hell of a messy place once a bunch of these assholes got in there. Specifically, when I say these assholes, I think some of you are like, oh, you're talking about Kiwi Farms. No, I'm talking about, once again, like Steve Bannon, Epstein, all of that. They thought that through internet memes in these different places, they could really get a lot of control going, and they weren't wrong. They pulled off a lot of it. That's why for somehow people that were just obsessively going after somebody, like obsessing about Sonichu and everything, somehow that got to turn into something bigger, and then it spreads into a gigantic community that's formed around ranting all the time about left-leaning people. What does that have to do with them? Because if we're going to get back to that one with, like, Christine, a lot of their old posts at the time were things about, like, the joke about Obama painting the White House black.
Right.
So where does that fit into this one? Oh, it doesn't, but that's what...
Oh, no, I ran out of time!
That's what internet culture is supposed to be.
Fuck.
You're supposed to go with these things. And that's partially why you're supposed to. There was even an effort to get a lot of this dumb shit just getting spread around through these people. They took the bait, and they're still continuing to do it.
The fucking... blue 20 pellet.
I'm sorry. Did you get a perfect score on one of these stages yet? I feel like you did, right?
I've gotten it on several. I've gotten it on this one.
Okay.
I think.
265?
I think 265. We would have to check, but I know for sure that the final trial.
Someone said, look, there I am screenshotted. Yeah, no, wait for the camera, everybody.
Hi, guys.
Cheese.
Macaroni.
Wait a second! Cheese. Macaroni!
Did you just hear that? That's mental illness.
Some fucking desperate people.
We need to keep tabs on this website now, gentlemen. We need to keep tabs on all of this now. And what do you think he's trying to say when he mentions GamePro TV? What are these killer combos that they keep speaking about? And what happened to Rick Party? He was there at the beginning, was he not?
If anything, Kiwi Farms, I want to thank you guys for today. I know you feel like this just fell into your plans or whatever, and once again, we're used to this shit. You guys have been doing this for ages. More so with this one as a thing. Thanks for kind of doing this, because like I said, people outside of this, it's going to look a lot differently if you don't have the biases towards this. I know you're going to make it into a conflict, and yes, people are going to
I don't know if they're
with
capable of seeing past a bias.
Oh, well, I mean, that you didn't let me finish.
Okay.
I know they're going to. It is going to resonate with a bunch of people. But the people that's going to resonate with are going to be the kinds of people where your argument was they're annoying homos.
Right.
And that's why at least what it's going to do is just make it clearer to people why there was conflict coming from these places for the people who are outside of that bias.
Right.
You've just spelled it out a lot more plainly and let them know that, yes, the things we were talking about really were happening, and you guys are a component of that. That's why you could pump the brakes at any point. I know you're not going to, because, you know, here we are directly even responding and making jokes about it, but yeah, that is the thing with all of it. Screenshotting people on this website is not going to make some tall case for everything and, like, now get everything defeated or something. It means that you guys get to, once again, writhe around in misery, getting angry about the fact that other people exist that don't share your sentiments. If you want your channel, though, like, if you want to still watch a lot of that content, it's all still there. Even though we were getting hurt by a lot of it while doing it, we went back to do it again anyways, because we also wanted to give people that content, so it doesn't have to go anywhere, and you're all free to still watch it. At no point yesterday I said people have to stop watching OneyPlays. I said the opposite. I said by all means continue watching it and everything, which is why some people got angry I said that, because it's no! Because that hurts the narrative. I mean, because, oh, you're saying that, but you're talking about it. Yeah, because it hurts the narrative. You were right the first time. It's because it hurts the narrative. Makes it not look, you know, quite as serious, and that's not good. We got to make this the end of the world right now. Come on, guys. Up to. But it's not. It's not the end of the world. These are things we've already talked about. A lot of the people that we had mentioned were people we already talked to, and some of them were already open enough telling us that we were allowed to be open about these things and talk about them anyhow. Yes, we had a lot of them also threatening us in the midst of all of it. We had some of them very actively going after us or contributing it to some of it. But their paranoias and fears were coming off of things like this too, because once again, when you're trying to court areas like image boards and Kiwi Farms and everything, you're walking around on eggshells at this point now and know you could be next up on the list as a target if you don't go with it. And that's part of what came from a lot of this. That's where some of these issues were coming from. Hence, once again, everybody looking at rant grumps constantly and bringing it up. It was seriously like the second day we were at the office that everyone was bringing up rant grumps. It was constant.
I do remember being startled by it, yes. I understand it better than I did at the time. At the time, I was like, why would somebody do that? They're like, leave it alone. Ignore it. And I had to learn that you can't ignore it.
Why was it ever called Kiwi Farms? It was originally tied to Chris Chan stuff, and that it was tied to like the quickie and everything, and then it evolved from there. And because of that, it's you know, doesn't make any sense to people outside of all of it. It's why you operate around terms like that sometimes. But yeah, that's where some of that was coming from. It was originally people overly obsessed about Christine Chandler, and then eventually branching off into Gamergate conspiracies. And then from there, they want to take tallies of people they've pushed to suicide. For example, the person who worked on BSNES ended up committing suicide. And they were really proud of it while simultaneously doing the thing of saying that you're aware of it while saying it's all a lie. Just working both angles, because it's really easy to say anything. You can lie about fucking anything. But, that's why when people were getting into this thing of, you know, they tell the truth. What they do is that they obsessively screenshot things and try to come up with narratives to pin around them. Sometimes things are, you know, legitimate there, but it's kind of coincidental when that happens.
I am sure that they have targeted, like, bad people.
No, they have. Keffels was a good example. No, that was real. That was a real thing that was happening. But I'm not going to attribute
But yes,
that
it's
to them, that
mostly
they
just
also
because
were able to pick up on
It's a thing
that.
that happens. This is one of those things where
They were
it's
coming at it for the wrong reason
people of all
initially.
backgrounds do this. They like the idea of being able to point out that somebody's bad because that gives you permission to be mean to them.
Yeah. A lot of the people who even moved over to Kiwi Farms, they were using like those cringe community websites for a while. People remember like Cringe Channel? And then it just turned into a lot of people fighting and arguing with each other. It's also why a lot of them still operate on being anonymous and why they say the thing about not showing your power level and everything. Is because truthfully, all these guys would be at each other's throats if they knew anything about each other.
I mean, it happened.
Yeah, it did.
Kiwi Farms went down for a bit.
Yeah,
and everybody
just for a
started
tiny bit. It
turning
was
on each other.
It was obviously going to come back, but they did start turning on each other very briefly there. They don't even like the owner of the website, Noel. No, it's a whole thing within itself.
God, it's so satisfying to see this line of things.
Just working out,
Yeah.
moving everything. You take joy in these little slugs dying. It makes you smile.
These little sluts.
Julian, they are not.
They
are
do
little
everything you tell
slugs.
them.
They're little slug babies.
Is that better?
No, I mean, Kajwanga, because they're just saying they would have given two fucks about the whole Keffels thing. They cared about Keffels because they're trans. That was the thing that got them in on it, and then coincidentally they're able to find out more. And they did find out real things, but that was the starting point. They coincidentally sometimes have things in there, and it's usually not information that even came from them. It's just they're obsessive, so they hold on to it all. And then just kind of like theory craft, and that's where a lot of it comes from. Which is why, yeah, no, there's plenty of examples of them being dead wrong about things too. But it doesn't really matter to them because disrupting things is fine for them. That's why they also act like they don't try to impact or influence situations, except what's happening here today, right now. Yeah, they do, all the time. Oh my god. That's why they were doing it. You cannot ever take at face value someone who is obsessed with Chris Chan. You can never take one of them at face value to be in this position to go, hey, you know, we don't try to go and influence this stuff ourselves, though. Oh, yeah, Surf Shack Tito. You guys don't try to get yourselves involved. The guy in the pickle suit? Yeah, you never try to get yourselves involved. They absolutely do, and they have been since the start. That's what some of this is. It doesn't just flare up sometimes on its own. Sometimes they gotta drop themselves in there. And yes, they're very proud of the fact if they can push people over the edge and get their lives ruined. But, no, unfortunately, that is the nature of it as a community. It's just a lot of obsessives who sometimes have things kind of fall into their lap. And usually kind of for the wrong reasons, but it can happen. That's why I said the Keffels one was right. Noodles and beef, that one was correct. Schmorky? No, that was right.
Why do I remember that name? Who's that?
That was the one that was getting a bunch of people to come together to inject themselves.
Oh, that fucker! Yeah, I thought
the contract that he ran on the guy just before doing a faulty injection and ended up getting him killed.
Right. No, I remember that because a lot of people in the furry community were defending
Yeah,
it.
they were trying to defend it, which was horrifying to see. Especially with the contract just before it happened. And that they didn't want to tell their family about it after he died.
Really? They talked about him?
What?
They talked about him?
Kiwi Farms?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not surprised. Just you go, oh, look at the freak or whatever.
I mean, I would assume that's where it started from, probably, yeah. Once again, it's a thing of gay community, furries.
Yeah, exactly.
Followed by, no, I'm really worried about this person. Oh, that's a familiar story. Yeah, same thing with us, right? People didn't care that we got hurt. We said that back at the time, too, and we recognized that anyone who's going to pretend to right now is pretending. The goal was just try to aim it towards Aaron. That was the goal. And that's the thing with it. We said it openly. If you guys want to go back to the streams, you can see it very blatantly, too. I did say he did the least of it. I did mention he did things, and I can stand by that, too. He did. I also said how nobody was a good guy. We weren't either. Nobody was. Everybody made mistakes. You could weigh in who made the bigger mistakes. Right now, what would be weighed in is we made the biggest mistake by acknowledging anything even happened. But, yeah, all that was there since the get-go.
If you guys have heard me go on political tirades before it, you would know that's not the sort of person I am. I don't just sit idly by when things are happening.
No, it happened a lot, Sunburst. Christine would have, you know, run-ins with the police, and coincidentally, somebody was always there with a camera.
Yeah, that's
and
a
even
good,
the police are
yeah,
creeped out by it.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
If they actually wanted something done about Christine, stuff like that actually gets in the way a little bit. When they're also seeing that there's people who seem to want this to happen. And even then, probably the mildest degree. Well, that's why when you see comments like that, too, when you see people say things like, get therapy, that's not supposed to be them being genuine. That is just a shutdown, too. It's the idea of you're creating the problems for them and then telling them that it's their fault and they need to go get it taken care of.
You're crazy, and that means I don't have to listen to you.
You know. That's what most of this is even being met with right now, is just dismissal. It's supposed to be, here's all the rules why you're not supposed to listen to a word they say.
Yeah.
It would be more dangerous to have to acknowledge the individual words. It's easier to just say it's betrayal and we're bad friends when the words being spoken, the things that they're trying to get you to not even hear out, is about how almost everybody got hurt and how there was harm being thrown around in all ends. It's kind of hard to say a lot of things were friendships. A lot of it was business, and a lot of it was people being treated like workers. Because survival was also a priority for a lot of people, too.
Which is, again, a thing we've been saying for a long time.
Yes.
Sorry, my posture's bad.
But I am sorry you guys are going to be forcibly pulled into this, too. Because it's also really important to get people to shut their fucker mouths right now, because you're not saying the things that they want you to be saying. That's why it was important to delete comments on the video, too. Even if it wasn't coming from some of you guys.
Oh, you fuck. Come on.
We had some people coming by who were just new accounts anyways to point out the fact that they had spotted the video. They even commented on it because they were already aware of the context, and their comments were being deleted, too. They're hell-bent on this right now. They very much want to make this the end of the world. And they're going to keep up, like I said, for quite a while. And the thing is with Kiwi Farms, when they're obsessed, they're obsessed. You're not going to have that end. So we are going to be continuing to hear about this for God knows how long.
Oh, fuck. I just need a third. Oh, come on, little guy. Yeah, there you go.
We'll just have to
Oh, of course it doesn't.
do the best we
fucking
can.
Count. Come on, come on. Best if I could do it without losing
What's
them.
the Yellow Pikmin specialty building? Bombs, and also they could throw them higher.
Is their usual. Get over here.
That's why he was doing the bridge trick earlier, because you can throw them so high, you can actually get them across the water and go finish a bridge before you're supposed to. But it's hard to do. You can also accidentally drown all of them. No, I feel bad for officers who have to respond to internet stuff. I feel bad for
yeah, God, it must be humiliating.
having to send the tip to the police about the gun incident. It's frustrating. They have to explain somebody was taping a bunch of like images to a door, and a bunch of them were falling down. And like I said, they were probably out there for like a half hour fumbling with electrical tape, trying to tape a bunch of soy jacks to a door. There's been an intense desperation for a long time to have a stronger angle to hit us with, and that's what this is right now. Hoping to really make the most of that and strike while it seems hot. And there are a lot of people who weren't paying attention, so yeah, they're going to get angry. I'm not going to pretend it's not going to work. It is going to work. It's absolutely going to work. Don't worry on that. It will work.
It's built for suckering in people who don't know what's going on.
Yes.
The whole thing has always been that way. That's how it's always operated. Is that they intentionally phrase things in ways that seem different to people who aren't really paying attention or are just new to the situation or whatever.
Remember how everybody was getting, pretty rightfully in a lot of cases here, upset with the trans member of the Mr. Beast team? And then even getting a little bit mad at Mr. Beast for standing by their side doing videos saying you can't do that. And then everyone then starting to post, hey, they're creepy and sexual, which they were. They're not a good person, don't get me wrong. It has nothing to do with being trans. They just weren't a good person. But That was what started coming up was the Shadman connections, and then commentary channels were starting to go with that. Until they found out Mr. Beast was also wrapped up in that, and actually most of the team members were wrapped up in that, and oh god, it's actually trickling over to all these other YouTubers and creators, and oh my god, this is way bigger. Then people started compiling lists of names and started making big lists of names, realizing how connected this Shadman thing was, and suddenly it was waved away. It's not important anymore. The time for conversation has passed. Exception cases get made all the time, and some of these things come from very easy starting points with a demand to find more so you can make it into more of a problem. Politicians do this kind of thing to each other too. They have their team members who try to dig up dirt on each other and just run with anything because they want to be able to stomp out an opponent. That's how a lot of this is being viewed. I'm not going to forget that video way back at the time anyways in relation to the Gamergate stuff, saying you have to fight extremism with extremism. There's a component of that to this too. We're going to be viewed as a problem for existing because we're also willing to be open about certain things. And also, yeah, we're gay.
If it makes them feel any better, there's a lot of leftists who don't like us either.
No, it's true.
At least self-proclaimed leftists.
No, it's true. I mean,
because we were willing to speak out against corruption in the entertainment industry, we're also blacklisted there.
Yeah. No, the Kyle Carosa thing, a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I wonder if they edited that bit out. And if they did leave it in. I wonder why that one's not resonating as a thing. But yeah, no, even just what we talked about earlier. We're just making fun of Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Man, I wonder if I still have that video. I remember I posted it way back even during the elections at the time. That Hillary Clinton said Pokemon go to the polls, and you can see there's a guy in the crowd who just opens his mouth really loud, and he looks like he was yawning.
Damn it.
But I just edited like a screaming clip over it because it kind of feels like everybody was groaning as soon as she said that. But hey, doesn't matter. Everyone's desperate.
Oh god, he was still alive! Oh no!
Everyone's desperate for a label on that kind of thing too.
Yes.
I remember when we were talking
it's about out in-groups and out-groups, etc.
Yeah. We were talking about what the concept around tariffs were on your stream like last year, and somebody got really angry about that, saying, I noticed you haven't been criticizing Joe Biden on your stream.
Right.
He's not the president right now. And anyways, are you fucking shitting me right now? You really don't pay attention to us, do you? You think we like Joe Biden? Bidenomics? No. It's something that's been coming up on these streams is the fact that the same lobbyists are paying all these politicians anyways in a lot of cases. Super Scratch Cat, that's what I would hope is presumably they get bored, but they're not going to. I will spoil that for you.
People make their whole lives about this.
Yeah.
In the same way that you like watching television.
That's why they're going so hard with this right now. And by the way, there's a smaller number of you guys who've actually been around for all this too, compared to people who had no idea anything was going on. So when it's packaged this way, it can easily make them feel like this is a new thing that kicked up.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why they're doing this too. You're right, it is all the same old things that already got talked about, but a lot of people don't know that. And that's what they're hoping to run with. It was evil and despicable and awful and wrong that we admitted that we ended up getting impacted by things. Things that, by the way, like I said, too, in some cases, the other end already kind of gave their version of it, too. Things that we were already told that we were allowed to talk about in the past, and things that we have talked about. And I don't know how much more I can really give it. Like I said, some of this has just been a retread, even. This is kind of going in circles a bit, because there's not much to talk about. It's pretty straightforward. The only way it would be more complicated is if there was supposed to be some kind of angle of like, well, see, we're going to try to poke holes in the story and get you to slip up. We just told the whole story again. And I could tell it again, too, if you want me to. What's that going to do? I guess give you more clips of the same things that we're not even ashamed of talking about. if you're hoping to force shame here when you're acting this asinine, it's kind of hard to do that. That's why people from Kiwi Farms, if you want to, like, if you didn't want there to be conflict or anything, if you actually wanted us to, like, be in a better spot and you think that this is so frustrating for you to have to listen to, then cool down yourself a little bit here. You guys are the ones who are actually riding high off ego at the moment. Just calm down a little bit. I swear, we could all get through this. It is just video games at this point. But that was the problem in the past, was it wasn't just as simple as video games. I'm sorry it didn't get to all be Aaron Hansen, only some of it. But we can get through this.
God, I keep missing. No.
Breadbug is stubborn.